And it's a very good morning to the Gelding on Caulfield Race Day. Caulfield Guineas Group Racing returns to Caulfield Gelding. 7 group races, including 3 Group 1s. You couldn't ask for any more than that, could you?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Yeah, Caulfield Guineas Day. Look, it rates right up there as one of the best days in Australia's racing, Professor. The top 3-year-olds over a mile. The Might and Power, formerly the Caulfield Stakes. You basically got the Cox Plate field there, minus probably a couple of internationals. You get the Toorak Mile for open age. You get to see early 2-year-olds. Just a good day's racing, Professor. Probably up there. I'd probably rate Rose Hill Golden Slipper Day probably now was the best day's racing. Used to think Derby Day was, but now that the VRC in their wisdom are mucking around with that and changing the McKinnon Stakes to the last day and the sprint to the last day, they're changing it around. I think it's just taken away a little bit from Victorian Derby Day, Professor. But, this is a day that's right up there.
So can we call this the official start of the Spring Carnival?
Oh, yeah. This is Caulfield's Carnival for the next 3 days, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Then we go to Moonee Valley and they have the Friday night and they Cox Plate on the Saturday. And then you're into the 4 days of Flemington. So, yeah, this is the heart of the carnival in the next 3-4 weeks, Professor.
The Champagne Days of Racing, Gelding.
Yes, Champagne Days of Racing, but you've got to have a champagne budget to go there, Professor.
All right.
The race clubs are certainly trying to make up for money that they've missed out during COVID. I was speaking to a Flemington member that I thought Caulfield prices were high, and Professor, when you can go to the races and be 400 to take your wife to the races, be $400 to $1,000 down before you have a bet, you're well, is there better ways? And apparently Flemington's even more.
Well, Gelding, you're an avid race goer. You're a Caulfield member, so no doubt you'll be there today.
I might be there Wednesday and Saturday, Professor. Saturday week, but certainly not. Catching up with friends for lunch. So the phone will be close by, though, Professor.
All right. It's a 10-race card, Gelding. The first is at 12:15. The feature race, as we said, is the Caulfield Guineas. Group 1 over 1,600 metres worth a tidy $3 million. It'd be a nice one to run. Nice one to win and run.
Would be a nice one to win, Professor. And if you're a colt, not a gelding, you're all of a sudden worth $20-25 million to the sale yard. So a lot of good horses that win this go off to the breeding barns, but not only the winners, Professor, also the place getters. There was 1 year Commands, which was a Ingham horse, ran 4th, and the first 3 across the line were all successful at size, and the Commands was also a successful size. So this is a very, very good form race, Professor. All Too Hard, Black Caviar's brother, half brother, won it and beat Piero a couple of years ago. Both of them have gone on to make very good stay-ins. So let's hope we can pick you the winner, Professor. And maybe horses to follow.
The track's rated a soft 6, which I think is generous, and the rail's in the true position. We hope for not much rain, if any, during the day, so that the track doesn't carve up too much.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unknown, the track, as you know, close by to Caulfield, and we've got plenty of rain here. Copped a little bit last night. Looking out, the skies today are pretty blue, Professor, and so it's looking okay. But you just wonder how to play Caulfield track. Normally leader bias, but, after a couple of races, if it cuts up on the inside, you might see him coming down the middle of the track. So, and we'll have a bearing on Wednesday's meeting and also the Caulfield Cup meeting next week.
Okay, Gelding, what are your two best bets for today's races?
I've kind of nipped in early, Professor, with the two main races. First of all, the Ned's Might and Power, race 7, over 2,000 metres. As I said, we've got basically a Cox Plate field for this. As you know, I'm a Zaki tragic, and I think Zaki will be well improved third up. And geez, I like the odds around about the $5 for Zaki, Professor. But look, I can't go past Animo. A horse that probably should have won the Cox Plate last year. It's come back this campaign possibly better than it was last year. Won its first 2 races. Is right up there in the betting for the Cox Plate. I think Animo may be the horse again to beat in the Cox Plate, even though I might have a little bit on the Internationals Cox Plate day, Professor. But look, if Animo is going to be a chance in the Cox Plate, it's got to win this. So, look, I'm happy to make Animo the bet of the day, Professor. So, race 7, number 7, you're getting round about the 240, 250 mark, Professor. Maybe if you wait a bit closer to race time, it might drift a bit when people back, all the other horses in the field, Alligator Blood, Zaki, I'm Thunderstruck, Mr. Brightside, Magongana. So I think all the horses are there, Professor. So let's go race 7, number 7, Animo. And it wouldn't be us, Professor, if we didn't have a bet in the main race, would it?
Oh, no, we've got to have a bet in the main race, Gelding.
We could have gone, I wish I win in the Toorak, but we thought we'd better have a crack at the Guineas. Look, Professor, I think it's in the top 3. Tijuana, Berkeley Square and Golden Mile. I've settled on number 2, Berkeley Square, trained by Dan O'Sullivan, ridden by Craig Williams. Horses had 4 starts, Professor, for 3 wins and a second. This horse had, and it's got what a couple of hours have been missing, Professor, a turn of foot. So over the last 250. So look, I've been fairly impressed with some of its wins. At 1,400 at Flemington is good. I think it's won at Caulfield. Worried about the Blue Army and Golden Mile. There's a lot of good horses in it. You can't have them all, but I'll go Berkeley Square, Professor, at round about the $5 mark. So you can back it each way. It's second favourite. So hopefully, let's hope Animo into Berkeley Square can do well. And what do you like, Professor?
All right, Gelding, I'm going early. Bit worried about the track, so I want to have my runners well away by the time it gets to later in the day. Race 2, the Weekend Hustler, 1,400 metre race, listed race. Weekend Hustler, actually a winner back in 2007 of the Caulfield Guineas.
Yes, it's a good horse's race, Professor, isn't it?
It is, Gelding.
Can remember Ross McDonald keep on saying about Weekend Hustler, you should put your house on it. And if you did, you'd have 2 houses. And then the following week when it won, put your 2 houses on it and you'd have 4.
Doesn't always
That's a
work
game
like that,
betting
Gelding.
approach, Professor.
Huh?
That's a game betting approach.
Yeah, one that I don't subscribe to, Gelding. Race 2, I like horse 2, Old Flame. Very hard to go past this one, Gelding. It's favourite in the race. Coming out of barrier 4, it's had 9 starts for 4 wins and 3 placings. 44% win rate, 78% place rate. Its last start, it ran second to Surf Dancer at Rose Hill in a Group 2. That was the Shannon Stakes and only got beaten by 3/4 of a length. It's won over the distance, Gelding. It's got Jamie Carr in the saddle, who's in career best form. 32% win rate in her last 50, Gelding. How do you get past that?
You don't, Professor. Is she the old flame, is she, Jamie Carr?
Well, she's the old flame of somebody's, Gelding.
Very good, Professor.
And trained by the Snowden, so I can't go past that one. My second tip is in race.
Well, can I just comment on that, Professor? One thing Gelding. You might have noticed when it ran second last start, the third horse was, when Surf Dancer beat it, the third horse was Ellsberg. Ellsberg last week came out and dead heated in the Group 1 Epsom Stakes over 1,600 in Sydney. So, when its last start, it's beaten a Group 1 winner. Be quite happy on the old flame in a listed race. Well, I think it's a very smart, very shrewd tip, Professor.
Well, and at $2.40, Gelding, I thought that was pretty good odds at the moment. So I'd suggest anybody who's wanting to get on that, get on it now, because I don't think it's going to start at $2.40.
No, I think you're spot on there, Professor.
All right, my second selection, Gelding, is race 3, the Thoroughbred Club Stakes, 1,200 metres for 3-year-old fillies. It's a Group 3 race. And I like, in this race, Gelding, also horse 2, Troach. Now, Troach, Gelding, I looked at that and thought, T. Roach. Tom Roach, son of Michael, played 11 games for Richmond.
He did. Probably didn't have the effect of Michael, or AKA Disco Roach. As you know, Professor, I'm very biased when it comes to Michael Roach. I reckon he was a sensational full forward and as good as I've probably seen, and I'll put him up there with the Hudsons and, Dunstals and Locketts and things like that. His career was cut short by an Essendon thug. Busted his back by kneeing him. I think he ended up going to Brisbane, and I think the Herald Sun used to write about him, calling him a thug. So
now listen,
I'm not naming the name, Professor,
but
I've got it on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, so Richmond recruited Tom Roach under the father-son rule, and as you can see from those 11 games, Professor, not the goal average of his father.
No, and perhaps not the best father-son selection.
No, but at least he played league football.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off the subject, Gelding. Troach out of barrier 13, 9 starts for 3 wins and 2 seconds, or 2 placings. So it's had a 33% win rate, 56% place rate. Its last race, the Champagne Stakes, it ran second in a Group 3. It's previously won over the distance. The juicy odds of $7 and $2.50 at the moment, Gelding, and I got $8.
Beautiful,
so
Professor.
Very happy with that.
Beautiful.
Being ridden by Craig Williams, and it's the Blue Army, Gelding, and there must be a reason for them selecting this race. James Cummings in great form, 24% over the last 50, 45% place rating. So very happy with good each way bet, Gelding.
Oh, Professor, a good horse. This is a horse with every chance. I do like the tip. As you said, a great each way bet. Blue Army on fire at the moment. And again, as we say week in, week out, they've got that many horses, Professor. So that's why they place them in the right races. So you can always go to them thinking that they've got a chance because they're not reaching for the stars, They've got plenty of other horses they could have put in it, but they thought this horse is right for this type of race.
All right, Gelding. So my 2 are race 2, horse 2, Old Flame, and race 3, horse 2, Troach. Now, Gelding, I was tossing up, and I mentioned this off air. I did like race 5, horse 4, Desert Icon, McDonald and Waller combination, and you thought I'd probably select that one in my tips today, but I didn't. So keep an eye on that one. And we've got to have a Zoo Star horse, don't we? Race 6.
Always got to have a Zoo Star.
Race 6, horse 4,
Can you see a Zoo Star up there behind me?
I can see a Zoo Star, Gelding. Zoo Style. Tony Gollan, and the only thing that makes me waver about that is Damien Oliver in the saddle, but it's not a favourite.
But it's not a favourite, Professor.
No, so get on.
Get on. Yes,
right.
And I also like, I think, look, in the Chirac handicap, Professor, I Wish I Win, which we've been on before.
Yes.
I was thinking about having that, but decided to go, with the main races. And I think there's a get out, number 3 in the last 10, Sapato. This is another Blue Army horse that is absolutely flying. So could be a good day, Professor. Track bit of an unknown. But let's go to what was before last week, Professor. The very, 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 very successful Professor's Parlay.
Now,
and I want you to explain to what happened. We've got the horse leg up. We've got the hard bit up, Professor, last week.
Yeah, I'll tell you where the exact moment in the NRL Grand Final where the Professor's Parlay ran off the rails, Gelding. Make a Sevo. 10 metres out.
Drops the ball.
Running towards the line. So he's going to score, providing he doesn't fumble the ball. There's leg 2 over. That also gets Parramatta back into the game, and so therefore it's not the blowout that it was. I was Gelding. I was out of my chair, jumping up and down, saying, "There's the second leg in," and the ball fumbles out, and I go, "And there goes the parlay. We're not going to win." Gelding, I don't think I've ever thought how close it was to getting another leg in and then just seeing it. I couldn't believe it.
I do remember the moment, Professor, and I've gone, something. Oh, dear.
Well, and tries were hard to come by for Parramatta, so I was thinking, oh, no. Well,
I did like the response of some of his teammates as they were walking away after he fumbled it. So it was a good call, Professor, and it looked like it was home until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't, Gelding. Anyway, look, let's start afresh because we haven't lost our confidence.
No.
The agreed bet of the day, race 7, horse 7, Animo.
Yeah.
Let's parlay that into the Buffalo Bills playing at home to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL. Buffalo Bills
playing well.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are 3rd in the AFC at the moment. A plus 56 points differential. They've won 3 out of 4. Good form and playing at home. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, well, these two clubs are going in different directions, Gelding. The Steelers are 15th out of 16 in the AFC. They've won 1 out of 4 and they've got a minus 16 points differential. So I'm all for
the Bills should be too strong for them, Professor.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, Gelding. Let's parlay that into Manchester City, also playing at home, to beat Southampton. Now, Manchester City are 2nd in the Premier League at the moment. They've won 6 games out of 8. They've drawn 2, so they're unbeaten. Plus 20 points differential, Gelding. That's very important.
Yeah.
Southampton, on the other hand, only won 2 games out of 8, minus 5, and also playing away at Manchester City. I think that's a bridge too far for Southampton. Very comfortable with that. And the parlay showing 7-2, Gelding.
Very nice, Professor. Let's pick up the pieces from last week. Even though it's the strike rate has been very good, Professor, in the last, how would you be out over the last 10 weeks?
At least
we would have picked up 5, wouldn't we?
Yeah, at least 50%, Gelding.
That's a good strike rate, Professor.
Yeah, I think so. All right, well, may the horses run well today, and Sportsfan Radio on tomorrow with all the usual suspects, including the return of Sarah. Sarah's back to talk AFLW, so that'll be good.
That'd be good, just to find out a bit about what's going on with the women's footy.
Well, the Tigers won again overnight, Gelding. They're up to 5th on the ladder. You must be very happy about that.
A lot better than where we were when Sarah picked us and she didn't think we'd win a game for the season.
Well, I'm sure you'll have a question for her about that, about the great improvement in the sides, Gelding.
Yes. Professor, look, the women's footy's just going forward leaps and bounds. This year, of course, there was going to be some odd results with a lot of sides coming in for their first year. But I'm sure, over the next years, we'll see a lot more competitive type of football. And it's just getting better, year by year.
A question I've got for tomorrow, Gelding. We won't discuss it in great detail tomorrow, though. I'm going to ask the panel is, if we go to Fox Footy, they've got a program for half an hour talking about trades that don't happen for a week and a half.
Yeah.
But they can't afford half an hour for AFLW, their own program. Unbelievable.
Yes. We'll talk about that tomorrow, Professor, because that half an hour trading day show just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
You know.
Talking about nothing, Gelding. Talking about what might happen.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, Professor.
Lucky they haven't got a few lawyers in there, Gelding. Otherwise, it'd be over an hour.
and they'll be charged by the hour.
All right, Gelding. Well, until next Saturday, it's good luck.
And good punting. Good stuff, Professor.